911 on location of your emergency.
Breaking news out of North Idaho. Moscow police are investigating a homicide on King Road.
Is she breathing?
No.
So 5'10", all black. Could you see what color his eyebrows were or anything like that?
No, I don't remember what his eyes look like either.
Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, but no weapon has been located at this time.
Arrested. That's 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger in custody today.
Mr. Kohberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false.
We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything is alleged.
Hey, you guys. How's everyone doing? How is everyone doing? I'm going to text Slade real fast. Happy Friday. All right, let's see. I am excited to go over this report. I've not read this. I have skimmed through it enough just to know what it is, who it is, why it's important. This is the original cell data report. This is from Tom Slavinsky. He is the original cell data analyst that was hired by the defense team. Whatever he found is the reason why he reached out to Cyray. And whatever he gave Cyray to look at is what got Cyray's attention and had him ask for more information because he wanted to dig deeper into the problem. So we're going to see what old Tom had to say. I mean, obviously there's going to be something in here that's pretty, I expect there to be statements of definitive issue. What was that noise? McGad. Okay. So these are going to be interesting to go over. This one's going to be interesting to go over. Now, these again are in the Google Drive. If you go to the description box of this live, there is a link to the Google Share Drive. If you click on all court documents and then go into pre-guilty plea, you will see a folder at the very top that says January 23rd, somewhere around there. It's January 2025 expert releases. The one from Cyray, the one from Turvey, all of the ones that we've been going over pretty hardcore over the last few weeks or so are in that January drop from before the plea in the folder in case you want to follow along. Now, I printed it from there again, just so I had it in like a PDF form on the computer so that I can highlight things as we are going over the document. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get this thing situated now so that I can make sure that you guys can see everything. I don't know. I need to fix these settings so I don't have to keep going back and forth. But I do like y'all to be able to see the majority of everything that I'm saying. Okay. There we go. And I can keep the comments on. Alrighty. Yeah, that's I plan on going over Yesie's tomorrow. I try to give the original poster like at least like 72 hours for the original algorithm. So that's the only reason we haven't gone over it yet. I've known about it since before it was even posted. But I just wanted to wait and give it what it needed to first so that it got out to where it needed to get out. So tomorrow was already the day that I plan on going over the Yesie interview. I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't heard it. There's been other things that I've been doing, and it's literally at the top of the board over there. I am already planned on doing Yesie's over doing Sophie's because of the amount of comments and the response that is happening here when it comes to Yesie's interview. So we're definitely going to go over that one tomorrow. It'll be in the morning sometime. I don't know what time yet. because the yard is getting done like around 8 o'clock. And I don't know how long it's going to take the guy because it's been raining really bad and it's been like over a month. And so I don't want to schedule it until I know for sure I can make that time. But yeah, no, we're going to go over that one tomorrow. I knew the only thing that I know is that this girl is the one that Dylan told at the Sigma Chi party that she couldn't drink. And we know that from a report, which is the report that was used for Accomplished Day to be able to get the interview. So it'll be interesting to see what it says. It'll be interesting. Okay. We're going to go ahead and start reading this. Again, this is the original cell phone data analyst from the Kohberger side of things. He saw the phone data, realized something seemed shady, and contacted a peer, which just so happened to be Cy-Ray, to look at the information that he had from what Slavinsky handed Cy-Ray and what Cy-Ray interviewed is the reason why Cy-Ray said, something's obviously wrong here. I need more information. Bring me on. And from that point, I'm going to assume that Cy-Ray sort of took over everything. I don't know if him and Tom continued to work together, if this was like they did their reports and that was it. There wasn't anything else. I don't know. I don't know. But I also do want to remind you guys something that is very important in Cy-Ray's report. In Cy-Ray's report, he very clearly states that he did not have full access to Ethan's records, to Jack DeCore's records, or to Bethany Funk's records. He also didn't have full access to Molly's records. So his analysis has nothing for Ethan and nothing for Jack DeCore and nothing for Bethany. He has files for Molly, but if you read the wording of how he placed it in there, he did not have full access. He did not have a full review. The information is not analyzed. So when I saw down here, when he starts talking about what Tom, had in order of looking for information, how come his says Chapin Verizon CDRs and DeCore Verizon CDRs and Funk Verizon CDRs, but Cy-Ray's straight up says that he did not have this information? Wouldn't Cy-Ray have had the information? I mean, unless he gets farther down in here and he says, you know, he had a little bit of this but didn't have everything when it comes to that. I mean, I don't know. But just simply the way that it states in there that he has it, but Cy-Ray says that he didn't is interesting. Let's see. I'll show you right here on Cy-Ray's where it says it. Because that really caught me off guard when it said that he did not have Ethan's records. And if you've been here, you've heard me say it already a million times because I'm just really shocked by it. I was unable to find a complete set of records for Ethan Chapin in the discovery provided to date. I was able to find some different reports that indicate the CDRs for the device were obtained and that at least in part, some analysis was done in regards to common calls. I was also able to find some of the RTT timing data for this device as well. As a result, this device was not mapped in my analysis. And when it comes to Bethany Funk, he says it's similar to Ethan's. This is where he talks about how the original files from Verizon were not provided in the discovery in this case when it comes to Molly. And that the way that the files are named and how they looks like they were created and preserved by the FBI. He says he has the information, but he was unable to confirm the timing data that was requested in the search warrant that was subsequently provided by Verizon and as the result of the court order. And he has copies of it, but it hasn't been analyzed past identifying the data type that was requested, or the type of data that was actually requested from Verizon and provided. Not anything further in way of what that data actually states. And down here it says the same. Similar to Chapin and Funk's Verizon's, I was unable to find original Verizon CDRs for this device. I was able to locate RTT timing reports. This device location data was not included in my analysis. So no location data for Jack DeCore, Bethany Funk, technically Molly, except for whatever the FBI allowed him to have view of, it seems like. Bethany, Jack, Ethan and Molly. Yeah, no location data for those 4 people. That's absolutely insane to me. So we'll see what he says in here about this, since he is claiming that he used Verizon records from those people in this little report that he wrote. So let's go ahead and get started up here with case analysis. The rest of this up here is like his training and stuff like that. We're going to go ahead with case analysis. On October 10th, 2023, this analyst, meaning Tom Slavinsky, was contracted by Ann Taylor of Idaho regarding the case of the state of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. This analyst was requested by attorney Ann Taylor to analyze many and various CDRs, including the AT&T call detail records pertaining to mobile telephone number 8458. According to AT&T, the mobile telephone number 8458 is registered to Bryan C. Kohberger of Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and has been an active number since June 23, 2022. Additionally, the device utilizing this mobile number, according to AT&T records, is a Samsung SM S908U, and there's the MEI numbers, MEI and IMSI number. This analyst was provided with call detail records, herein referred to as CDRs, pertaining to 8458, herein referred to as just 8458 device, which were supplied to Attorney Taylor by the Latell County, Idaho prosecuting attorney. The date range for these records was from June 23rd, 2022 at 23:33:18 hours. So June 23rd, 2022 at 11:33 and 18 hours. Through December 24th, 2022, which was the day before Christmas at 53:29, so 12:53 in the morning. That's interesting considering that they didn't arrest him till the 30th, and they were putting surveillance. There's a report somewhere that we read in the court documents where they said that it was on like Christmas Day that they were like going in the yard and putting, I think, like microphones and shit in the yard. I think something in court came out about that. I remember reading it and being like, what the hell? That was kind of crazy. AT&T creation date 12/23/22 with the run date showing 12/23/22 and the run time as 21:18:02. Said records were supplied in UTC time zone. Also supplied were various receipts of Mr. Kohberger's, as well as pictures taken from a device used with mobile number 8458. I'm guessing that's like, yeah, the phone. This analyst has vigorously analyzed these data records. In addition, this analyst was provided with the other CDR data, including Chapin, Decor, Funk Charter home phone. So I'm guessing her parents' house phone, since it's on her phone record, she called them that morning. Goncalves's T-Mobile CDRs and timing advance records. Mortenson's T-Mobile CDRs and timing advance records. Kernodle's AT&T CDRs and timing advance records. But they still can't tell us when Xana and Ethan got home, huh? So Cyree and Tom both have Kernodle's complete phone information. And Cyree is asked if he can answer anything about when Xana and Ethan got home, and he can't. Not because he can't, because he can't. They don't have the information. The data isn't there for them to know the answer. How is that possible? How is that possible? Mogen AT&T CDRs and timing advance records. Showalter AT&T CDRs and timing advance records. Now, again, this is like, we're almost at a year into Kohberger being arrested, and they're still following Showalter's information. Remember, the timeline that was given to the prosecutor's office in November 2023 has information about Chestnut and Showalter. Random ass shit that they did throughout the day. Wild. Celebrite report on number 8458. The FBI cast report, the draft and the final, and grand jury exhibits. I wish it said which grand jury exhibits, because I don't think that he would have been privy to all of those exhibits, just these. So maybe that's just implied. I don't know. Note regarding the timing advance records above from AT&T. AT&T's timing advance records are utilized by and for E911 services to provide accurate readings to law enforcement in the event of an emergency. However, after repeated efforts, the defense was only able to secure 3 of the 4 AT&T timing advance records dealing with Kernodle, Mogen, Showalter, and Mr. Kohberger. Mr. Kohberger's timing advance records were never produced. What is strange is that all the above 4 accounts are AT&T accounts. The 4 timing advance records were requested in law enforcement's warrants to AT&T. Yet law enforcement says Mr. Kohberger's timing advance records are not available. This is very concerning, as timing advance records are extremely accurate and could prove to be exculpatory evidence for Mr. Kohberger's defense. During this analyst's investigation, this analyst sought the assistance of expert Cy Ray and requested that he join the defense team. Mr. Ray was able to not only peer review this analyst's work, but also provide an invaluable source of data analysis, as well as real-time drive-by tower mapping and analysis. This analyst refers the reader to Mr. Ray's work for further work product and his expert opinions. Oh, we've read it. The 8458 CDRs were processed by this analyst using the TRAX forensic mapping software tool, which is a forensic CDR mapping program originally developed by the ZX. See, that's why I was like, is it TRA-X? That wouldn't make no damn sense. By the ZX Corporation and recently sold to LexisNexis. Since 2016, this analyst has used the TRAX forensic mapping software due to its high scientific accuracy and respect in the forensic community. Since starting forensic mapping of CDRs in 2009, all mapping by this analyst was performed using Microsoft Streets and Trips. Around the year 2016, Microsoft discontinued updating Streets and Trips. I've never used that. Is that just like when you go to like Edge and search a location and use their map, or is that something separate? Never heard of that before. I've never heard of that before. Around the year 2016, Microsoft discontinued updating Streets and Trips, leaving the forensic community to search for an alternative. After thorough and careful analysis of other forensic mapping software at that time, this analyst subscribed to the TRAX software due to wide acceptance by law enforcement agencies, both local, state, and federal, Dubar and Fry acceptance across the county, Duval, I don't know. Dalbert. It's either fancy or sounds like Dalbert. I don't know. And Fry, acceptance across the country. The success rate of cases using this software. Continuous training for all users. Subject matter expert certification offered. Continual updates to the software. Continual verification of cell towers locations, sectors, azimuths, etc. Outstanding customer service, subject matter experts within the company that would testify on the user's behalf if needed, peer review by certified subject matter experts, founder's stance on speaking only to the data. Since his initial training in 2016 with the TRAX software, in 2017, this analyst was awarded the subject matter expert certification by the ZX, original owner of TRAX company, in call detail record geolocation analysis. This analyst has maintained this certification to this present date by attending yearly 40-hour classes offered by the LexisNexis present owners corporation. This analyst is one of only a few non-law enforcement examiners in the country with this certification from LexisNexis. Upon processing and mapping the 8458 CDRs, this analyst was able to track the movements of said device as it communicated with the area cell towers. This analyst was also provided with each of the victims' CDRs, as well as CDRs belonging to friends of the victims. These CDRs were mapped and analyzed with no connection found between the victims and friends to the 8458 account. But I can unbiasedly say You don't have Ethan's information. You don't have Bethany's information, and you do not have Jack Ducour's information. So technically, regardless of how you feel about this case, this is not an accurate statement. Now, they can't prove it any other way. There's no social media connections. They don't seem to have ever been on surveillance at the same stores. They're not finding any receipts or transactions that they've been able to track in order to prove anything in way of that. But knowing that we know that there are records missing, can you really say that? I don't know. Even Cyree, that's admitting that stuff is missing, is still claiming that. I would assume that that is the truth. But to me, to be able to say that while also admitting that you have information missing is a little bit of a stretch to me. Now that we know that, that's new information. Of importance are 6 items that this analyst wishes to report as follows. The July 9th, 2022 pool party with points of interest. July 12th, 2022 Moscow mountain trips with points of interest, not trips, one trip. Omissions analysis of the final cast report, which 90% of it was like missing. Exhaustive FBI cast report analysis. Mobile number 8458, actual path of travel, November 12th, 2022 through November 14th, 2022, and the Google geofence. July 9th, 2022. Now, this is the pool party that the neighbor, that Christian guy, invited Kohberger over to. We've actually seen these text messages. This is the pool party where he met up with that Holly girl, and she gave Kohberger her phone, and he put his number in her phone, and they were supposed to talk about hiking, and it just didn't happen. But that's the pool party. This is reportedly the very first time that Kohberger's phone like pings in this area, according to what we've been told so far. So before July 9th, he had not traveled to this area of Moscow at all. Using the 8458 CDRs supplied by law enforcement, this analyst mapped the device's movements from approximately 13 hours, which is 12:30 in the morning, 12:13 in the morning on July 9th, 2022, to approximately 1:20 a.m. on 7/10/22. From approximately 12:13 a.m. to approximately 13:30 hours, the 8458 phone utilized cell towers covering the Pullman, Idaho area and Mr. Kohberger's apartment, which is also located in Pullman. At approximately 13:30 hours, the 8458 device used a tower south of Moscow, Idaho, which covered an extensive area. At approximately 14:40 hours, the 8458 device utilized a tower located in Moscow, Idaho. The tower's coverage takes in Tri-State Outfitters and the Grove Apartments, both located in Moscow, Idaho. Let me go ahead and I'll pull that up on the map. The Grove compared to the place, compared to the house. I hate that it says permanently closed, like it was a business. I don't like that at all. The Grove Apartments. So on the other side of Taylor, which I know that we've seen this before, it's just been a hot minute. See right here? So this is King Road. My head's probably the other way. This is King Road right here. And the Grove Apartments are over here. This is the Grove at Moscow. Right here. And there's the police department right there. Oop. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, so it's not that far. You would definitely utilize the same tower because it's so close. What's the distance it said? 4 miles. No, 1 mile. 1 mile. A 4-minute drive. It's 1 mile between 1122 and the apartments. So you definitely would show up on the same tower going there. Okay. According to a receipt supplied by Mr. Kohberger, Kohberger made a purchase at the Tri-State Outfitters at 2/8/27 p.m. Then, from approximately 14:18 to approximately 15:18, the 8458 utilized a tower south of Moscow, Idaho, that also provided coverage to Tri-State Outfitters and the Grove Apartments. Okay, let's see where that's at. I think, if I remember correctly, in the text message to that Christian Martinez guy, he said he was going to have to go out and buy some shorts for the thing. Okay, so Tri-State Outfitters is up here off of the highway where the shopping center and stuff is. Oh, well, I shouldn't have done that part. Hold on. Yeah. So Tri-State, he stopped here, I guess, and then went down there to the party place. It seems probably. Yeah. So it says he made the purchase at 2:08, then from approximately 14:18 to approximately 15:18. The 8458 phone utilized a tower south of Moscow, Idaho, that also provided coverage to the Tri-State Outfitters and the Grove Apartments. Then from approximately 15:18 to approximately 22:23 hours, the 8458 device continued to utilize the same tower. From 22:23 hours on, the 8458 device proceeded westbound, utilizing various towers in Moscow, Idaho, and Pullman, Washington, until approximately 1:20 hours on 7/10/22, when it used a tower covering the Kohberger apartment. And then it says to see exhibit July 9th pool party for a detailed presentation and a copy of the receipt. Does he have that on here? I honestly do not know. He has a bunch of maps, but I don't see a receipt. So it must be a part of it somewhere else. Let me make sure this is right since I just moved everything. Is it better? Not really. Let me fix this. I think it's better if I have it down here. Yeah. Well, and see, there's not even 23. That's why there was like 90. He either said 90% or 90 pages of the cast report was removed. So when the FBI did their cast report and they tried to say there was all these different pings and all these different things, when Cy Ray then turned in his report that showed all of the problems that he saw, he must have been accurate in the problems, because then Nick Balance with the FBI, who made the draft, when him and the other guy got together and made the final, they removed, like, again, either 90 slides or 90%. Either one of the amount of information. Which is important, because that number, that 23 number, has been sitting there forever. And it's based off of inaccurate information that at the end of everything being re-reviewed was removed for the most part. And that's a huge issue, because this never went to trial in order for the truth to be told. Because if this would have went to trial, it wouldn't be just here, us here on YouTube hearing the fact that all of that information was removed because those pings weren't accurate, and hearing how the 7 minutes got removed and the car wasn't Kohberger's that was actually leaving, and all these missing things. That would have been said to the national public on live television. The whole world would have heard it. And they knew the reaction, I'm sure, if the whole world would have heard how much original information was actually removed, taken away, reversed, incorrect. They knew what was at stake to them. I just really wish this damn thing went to trial. The FBI's, yes, it has. The state's information got released months ago. We already went over it. That's literally Nick Balance's report. The times for Nick Balance are in Cyray's report. And we've gone over several things from the state. So that's not true either. That's not technically true. We've seen a lot from them. We have seen a lot from them. I honestly think it was one in January. There was so many things happening in January, from like January to like May. It had to have been one of those. I can't remember exactly which one that it was. You could probably go type in Judge Hippler calls Cyray a conspiracy theorist on YouTube and find 1,000 videos that are probably reactions just to that statement and figure out like the date. I know that we watched it live and everyone's jaws dropped to the floor because it was so insane. And it's just so like, make it make some sense. Make it make some sense. Why in the world? Yeah, well, no, we have. Are there in the Cyray report? He uses Nick Balance's slides in the Cyray report. I mean, it's not anything to argue about. I'm not disagreeing with you that you think for some reason, even though they've already come out and told us that none of that was actually true, that the 23 things like still exist, but they don't. They were removed because the information was inaccurate. And when Cyray is providing his analysis, he's also showing the pieces that he's arguing against. He shows receipts the way that we do. He shows what he's talking about. So if you read the report, there are pieces of the slides that are in there as an example for what Nick Balance is claiming. The full-on report, no, we haven't gotten it. I don't know why. But also when it comes to the times that they were going to be using for the car itself, and if you compare that to what we have from law enforcement, look at how many things the FBI had to remove from that too after they had everything went back and got redacted. But people aren't talking about the fact that they're taking away the path of travel from town to town, which makes no damn sense how they thought that they were going to tell that story. But I'd like to believe that the slides that are being shown to us, I mean, I'm not sure if these ones right here are Nick Balance's. I'm pretty sure that they are. Yeah, these are exactly it. The next slide is from the final cast report. So here's your slides. I mean, this is stuff that's in there. Again, I know that it's the defense responses, but this is literally a slide from the final report. That's what I'm telling you. Like, even though we haven't seen an actual packet from the state, we have seen pieces of their work. Well, we don't need the narrative. Why do you need a written narrative if you have the map that tells you the time and what it's telling you? You don't need a written narrative summary to tell you that. But you also can't say we haven't seen the slides. I'm showing you one of them right now. Like, this is a draft one. They went in there and actually showed the changes. Look at this. He's showing you the slide that was submitted as the draft, and then he's showing you the slide that was submitted as the final. This report might be the defense response, but they're responding to what was submitted to them by the state and showing you in their response what the state submitted. So you still can't say that you haven't seen it. Well, again, it's not coming from the state side. This is the state's work that they're using to show you why they're arguing it. $11-ish at night. Driving around, probably. What is that, like an hour and a half? Hour and a half or so? I mean, I wish that they would show us where he went. I mean, they have to have that somewhere, right? Like, I'm pretty sure Cyray probably mapped that. I would assume that they did if they said that they have all this information. So I don't know, but I would assume that they tracked it. I would sure assume that they tracked it. Well, I would assume that what Balance was going to say is exactly what his slides say, and he wouldn't be lying under, on the stand and saying something else in person that's not in his report like some people do, You'd think that what he had to say was a reflection of what we see on paper. Okay, so then 3 days later on July 12th, 2022, it says Moscow Mountain with points of interest. I think Moscow Mountain is up in that northeast area of Moscow that they've mentioned him going to a lot. Let's see. Moscow Mountain. Yeah, actually it is. So Moscow Mountain is literally in the northeast area of Moscow, sort of like in the area where Syray has claimed that he has mapped Kohberger going several times. You can't say that him being that far away. Let's see how far away this is completely from the house. How many miles is this? This is still a good 10 miles away from the King Road house. So if this is still in an area where he is still on the same tower as King Road, then that's even, that really does show you. I mean, I know we've heard anywhere up to 20, but just this 10-mile radius being on the same tower is pretty important. But saying that he's, over here in this area, that's nowhere close enough to even suggest he even went near there, unless they have proof of that. But if they just have him up here, and that's not in Moscow enough to be something that people could pretend is a problem. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's still kind of far. Okay, this analyst was requested by the defense to examine the supplied 8458 CDRs for the date of July 12, 2022, regarding Mr. Kohberger reporting that he had made a trip to Moscow Mountain and other points of interest. The transactions between the cell towers and the 8458 device start on that date at approximately 1:01 hours, utilizing a cell tower which provides cell coverage to the Kohberger apartment area. This device continued to utilize cell towers in the Pullman, Washington area until approximately 18:02 hours. This device then appears to move eastwards and arrive in the area of Moscow Mountain at approximately 8:15. So what is that? 13 minutes? 13 minutes for him to get, I guess, from Pullman to, let's see, the mountain area. Steptoe. Why do I always click the wrong thing? No, I'm sorry. Maybe to get on the tower. Yeah, to get in the tower area, that would make more sense. But this, my brain instantly went from his apartment to all the way over there in 32 freaking minutes, because that's 16 miles to get from his apartment to there. And it shows two different ways. So is Syray, when he says that he thinks that Kohberger went more north, is he trying to say that he thinks that Kohberger went up this way to go all the way to Moscow? Is he saying that he went all the way up there? See, that's why I really wish that whatchamadoodles, the custody queen people, they would come out and they would actually show us what Syray apparently pointed out to them. Because if this is it, I mean, there's really two. You could go this way, but not really. You'd have to take this other road to come up this way to then drop down. But see, this way goes through an airport. So he said that Syray said he knows that Kohberger didn't go south when he left his apartment, that he went north. So that means that he would have had to have gone up this way, up Brandy Way, and then either went left or right on Northeast Terryview. And I don't see how, if you know that this is the area that's being canvassed, why you can't track that if that's true. Look at all the businesses along the way. You're telling me you couldn't go back in there and get any freaking thing? You're telling me that with all these businesses right here, look, there's still businesses right here. This is where it gets real sort of like scarce. Because see, Syray's even claiming that later on, afterwards, that whatever is taken to do this like loop around is not as far down south as the law enforcement says, that it's more north than that. And he talks about coming to like a T in a road and there being a body of water next to it. I mean, there's some water right here. T in the road's down here, here, here. I guess could be here. Oh, it's a dead end road. Is there any other water this way? I mean, yeah. He's saying a lot of big things without showing us on the damn map. And I really wish that somebody would just, you know, Syray could just give us some sort of visual. That'd be freaking beautiful. So we could see if it makes sense or not. Okay. At approximately 1829 hours, the device itself reports taking a photograph of the Moscow Mountain map. Then at approximately 1859 hours, the device reports taking a photograph of foliage. So at this point, it looks like he's also looking at the Celebrite records when he's talking about this. I guess there's some, there must be several of the selfies then, yeah? There must be several of the selfies that were released by Celebrite that are of him at the mountain. I would assume so, because a lot of it looks like it's mountainside. Through Wayland. What is that? Where is that? There's Sunshine, Busby, Stolly. Blaine. Johnson. Uniontown, where's Wayland? Oh, up here. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. There's like little roads. There's like little roads. Yeah, could have gone this way and hit back up on this road and then gone up Saddle Ridge and then gone all the way over here and gone up Almond Street and then hit 95. Because he's claiming that wherever he came out, he goes, it basically dumps you right there in Indian Hills. Yeah, but see, I just saw something else that said something about an airport. Right here, look, there's another airport right here. A little bitty tiny one, Stolly Airport. And then there's another one right here. No, that's what this, yeah. Right here, there's another type airport. What is this? Is that an airport? What the hell is that? Can't drop down in there. I don't know what the hell this actually is. It's like it's a frequency. Is it like a tower? Is it an airplane tower right there? I don't know what the hell that is. But see, there's also this little one right here on top of the bigger one. So frustrating. I wish they would just come out and show us this infamous map. It would make so much more sense, I'm sure. Okay. All right. Let's see. At approximately 21:16 hours, the device is then seen proceeding westward, then arriving in the Pullman area at approximately 12:23 hours. At approximately 22:48 hours, the device utilized a cell tower that provides coverage to 3 businesses in Pullman: Walmart, Safeway, Sunset Mart. According to the Walmart receipt provided by Mr. Kohberger, dated 7/12/22 at 22:47:07, Mr. Kohberger purchased numerous items. Mr. Kohberger made another purchase at Safeway. I wonder if that's one of the dates that we have. I don't remember the dates off the top of my head for those Walmart videos that I got. I don't remember the dates, but I wonder if that's one of them. Mr. Kohberger purchased numerous items. Then Mr. Kohberger made another purchase at the Safeway. According to that receipt, his purchases were made on 7/12/22 at 23:05. So at 11:05 p.m., he is shopping at Safeway. Then Mr. Kohberger proceeded to Sunset Mart, where a receipt verifying purchase made by Mr. Kohberger showed a purchase made on 7/12/22 at 23:12. It is to be noted that from approximately 22:23 hours through approximately 23:23 hours, the 8458 phone device is utilizing several towers, all with coverage of these 3 stores. So what did he buy from the Sunset Mart? Did he get gas? Like, can't they? I don't remember a receipt from Sunset Mart. I know we've seen a few from Walmart. I think we had a couple from Safeway. I know there was some receipts that came out in some Discovery, but I can't remember off the top of my head what they were. I know we went over them, though, when they came out. The cell tower data affirms Mr. Kohberger's alibi of being in Moscow Mountain and the store purchases on this date. See exhibit entitled July 12th Mountain Hike for a detailed video presentation and copies of said receipts. So yeah, July. Okay, yeah, this is July. So I guess that would mean that he was in Moscow Mountain and then shopping, or how did it go? Yeah, so he went to Moscow Mountain and then went back to Pullman and then went shopping. Okay. Omissions analysis of the final cast report. FBI cast agent Nicholas Balance authored a draft report with maps on July 10th, 2023. Then on July 8th, 2024, a year later, Special Agent Blank authored a final cast report. There's 2 agents, and I can't remember the second guy's name, but Nick Balance is for sure the main one. The original draft report is 124 pages long, while the final cast report is only 31 pages. That's so much. It's still so astonishing. It's still, it's probably coffee. I bet you anything it's coffee. Maybe they had good coffee there because he got coffee all the time. Coffee was like his thing. So maybe that's what he was getting, even though it was late. I mean, it's almost 10 o'clock here. Okay. And this, McDonald's owes me money. Like, this is not what the hell I ordered. Like, I just don't have the time to even complain right now. It's not horrible, but it's horrible. I could have done this here. It's definitely not what I wanted, but that's what I get for spending money I shouldn't be spending. I get crappy coffee. Okay. So this is the following admissions by Agent Blank. I'm just going to keep saying Balance because that's the one name that we know. And regardless, he's involved. The original draft report, again, is 124 pages, while the final is only 31. The following omissions by Agent Balance are noted between his 2 reports. So this is the actual cast information by the state, just to be very clear for those who might be not understanding the maps that we're about to be looking at. This is physically the information from the state. And then you're going to see around it what the defense has to say about it. Okay? That's how this works. Draft page 8, final page 9. August 21st, 2022, traffic stop location in Key. Draft page 9, final page 10. AT&T Tower south of Moscow added to final. Draft page 12, final page 12. Crime scene and tower designation in draft, but omitted in page 12 of final. Draft page 13 through 110. Maps of the following dates and times omitted from the cast final report. So I hope the Goncalveses are listening. All of these times that they were going to be adding to the final report that makes up the majority of the boo-boo had been removed. So please listen to the dates dear sir and madam, so that you can please listen. Saturday, July 16th, 2022, 10:43 p.m. to Sunday, July 17th, 2022 at 12:20 a.m. Sunday, July 24th, 2022 at 10:14 p.m. to Monday, July 25th, 2022 at 1:04 a.m. Friday, July 29th, 2022, 10:41 p.m. to Saturday, July 30th, 2022 to 1:19 a.m. Sunday, July 31st, 2022 at 9:52 p.m. to Monday, August 1st, 2022 at 12:55 a.m. Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022, 10:41 p.m. to Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022, 1:13 a.m. Thursday, August 4th, 2022, 10:31 p.m. to Friday, August 5th, 2022, 1:39 a.m. Saturday, August 6th, 2022, 12:22 a.m. to 2:40 a.m. Saturday, August 6th, 2022, 8:19 p.m. to Sunday, August 7th, 2022, 12:22 a.m. Sunday, August 14th, 2022, 11:40 p.m. to Monday, August 15th, 2022, 12:47 a.m. Tuesday, August 16th, 2022, 7:16 p.m. to 10:55 p.m. Thursday, August 18th, 2022, 10:46 p.m. to 11:26 p.m. Saturday, August 20th, 2022, 9:27 p.m. to Sunday, August 21st, 2022, 12:37 a.m. Sunday, August 21st, 2022, 10:26 p.m. to Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 1 a.m. Monday, September 19th, 2022, 11:50 p.m. to Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 at 1:04 a.m. Saturday, October 1st, 2022, 12:55 a.m. to 2:42 a.m. Thursday, October 6th, 2022, 11:09 p.m. to Friday, October 7th, 2022, 12:49 a.m. Saturday, October 15th, 2022 at 9:29 p.m. to 10:56 p.m. Thursday, November 3rd, 2022, 9:15 p.m. to 10:37 p.m. Friday, November 4th, 2022, 8:02 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday, November 7th, 2022, 9:35 p.m. to 10:07 p.m. And lastly, Thursday, November 10th, 2022, 5:09 p.m. to 8:34 p.m. Now, page 113, draft, page 15 of the final, because all of that in between was removed. E node B, a different number, yet shows same location. Now, this is from the CAST draft report. They cannot file a fabricated image from the state's work and then complain about it in their response. So this is an official slide from the CAST draft report. He is showing here that E node B 4241915 has a different number. Is he going to show it? Right here, 424001-17. And it's the same location. So the guy doesn't even have shit labeled correctly. And Tom's response to this says, according to the AT&T tower location data furnished to the defense from the prosecution, E node B 424-19915 is located at 1900 Southeast Observation Drive, Pullman, Washington. Yet, in the next slide from the final CAST report, blank balance now designates the same tower differently with E node B 4240017. According to the AT&T tower location data, this tower is located at 208 State Route 195 in Uniontown, Washington. So same location tower down here at the bottoms, okay? 424-001-17 on the final. On the draft, the same exact location is marked as 424-19915 by the FBI. By the FBI. So he already screwed this up. Already screwed this up. Okay. And that's after they removed all of this shit. After they removed all this information already. So then it says on page 115 of the draft shows no AT&T tower, but 4 AT&T towers show in page 17 of the final draft. So page 117, is he going to show that one? I don't think he does because this goes down to 117. I wish he would have shown this one. How it shows no AT&T towers at all in the draft, but then it switches over to the final and it has 4 AT&T towers. I wish they would have shown us that. That's crazy. Okay. Page 117 of the draft and page 19 of the final report shows different eNode numbers for the same tower depicted. So again, he's got the wrong damn names. Thank you. FBI agent is Sean Kennedy. That sounds familiar. That does sound familiar. Thank you for that. Okay. So again, he did the same thing that he did before. This tower right here in Moscow is 107-654-104 in the draft report. But then down here in the final, he has it labeled eNode B 420-523-216. Okay. Page 18 draft shows ECI number to eNode B number on page 20 of the final report. So here is page 118. Ooh. It's wanting to It is wanting to freeze. Okay. So this area here is eNode 420523-8 in the draft report. And in the final, he has it as, well, it says 420523-8, but it also says eNode 420523-216. So there's 2 labels right here when there's not supposed to be. So which one is which? And see, the problem is if you can't, yeah, so, okay, so underneath this is what he means by this. So he says ECI number to eNode number. Down here is where it shows, I'm trying to make it bigger, but every time I do, it wants to freeze. There, it just went black on me. It is just wanting to freeze all over the place. Okay, can you see that where it says ECI? So it says ECI there, and then when it comes down here, it calls it an eNode, which is inaccurate. Oh my God, it's not freezing. Ah! Now, this is interesting right here, though, because it says that the tower right here is where his phone is pinging off of at 9:21 in the morning. It says there's an incoming message from a 7949 number at 9:21:10. So up here, it shows that the 921 data 150. I mean, I don't know. Whatever this activity is right here at 921:01 is like here at this tower. But then it shows that over here, 9:21 and 10, There's an incoming SMS. And also some data from 9/12, both from right here, is what the final draft for the FBI is showing. So that's why they have it in their minds that he went back to the crime scene that morning. But they can't actually provide us video footage during the daytime that actually matches that. And no, that little 2.7-second video coming across the gas station, no, definitely not. See, and then right here, he's at his apartment. Okay, so what is this? Is this a final one? On this final cast report paper, it literally says right here in this box. Oh, I guess he kind of has to. I guess this really isn't a big deal. It just says arrow does not represent actual path of travel. So I guess he had to make it clear that he didn't mean that he went towards Moscow. I mean, isn't that the whole point of what you're trying to claim here? It's a little confusing. So it says at on November 13th, 2022 at 9:54, there's an outgoing call for 9:21. And there's this, is that a different number? 9755. Yeah, it is a different number. So the phone number that he contacts up here ends in 9755. And whatever phone that he's having contact with down here, it ends in 7949. Okay. Interesting. So what was Cyray's rebuttal to this? I guess we'll pull that up here in a second. Because it seems like, unless he has, I'm pretty sure he has more written down here, right? Like this isn't just maps. Okay, yes, there's reports left after this. I was like, this is going to be a bit off context. Okay. So then, is this the right one now? Yeah, we've done highlighted that one. Okay, draft page 120, final page 22. Concentration of signal less in the final draft than in the draft. In the final report than in the draft. So the concentration of the signal is what does that mean? Like the signal is less strong? Yeah. The signal is less strong in the final than it is here. So in the draft, it shows that there's like signal in places, I guess, like in between the lines where it's darker. It's like excellent coverage, I guess. And then when it comes down here, it's just like one color by itself. Let's see, this shows 10:03 incoming. Interesting, a San Antonio area code. That's interesting. At 10:03 incoming, 10:03 outgoing. Text messages at 10 a.m. Wasn't expecting to see a San Antonio area code. That's interesting. Draft page 121, final page 23. 10:45:51 a.m. call has different numbers assigned for tower. 10:56:57 a.m. tower transaction is not in the final draft, but a 10:56:48 transaction is added to final report. This gives appearance that device had moved east instead of originally south. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean? Instead of originally south. See, Cyray is saying that everything that Cyray is seeing is showing more of a north. Oh my God, is it still frozen? I didn't even know that I was frozen. I'm just over here talking, but y'all can hear me? Can y'all hear me talking normal, but I'm just frozen? Oh my God. And the screen ain't moving either. Oh my God, I don't know how to fix this. That's beautiful. That's crazy. Okay. Let me go back to the dashboard. Let me go back to the dashboard and try to come back in. That's hilarious. Hold on, guys. What about now? Am I moving? That's hilarious. How long has that been happening? How long is That's funny. Well, when I was moving the dock in the back so that I could see like if it was moving, it wasn't moving for me. That is hilarious. How did I not know that? Well, see, because I'm reading, and so I'm trying to make sure I can see all the little tiny everything. So y'all didn't hear what? What did y'all hear? Y'all didn't hear anything? I mean, y'all didn't hear shit? I mean, you didn't see anything I was talking about? See, now I'm all tongue-tied because that's hilarious. How long was I crazy looking like that? That is so funny. That is so funny. Okay. Let's get back to this now. Alrighty. Yeah, this shows, like I said, I'm really surprised to see a San Antonio number that Kohberger was contacting that morning. I really wasn't expecting that. I don't know why his parents would have a San Antonio number, so that's kind of interesting. Okay, so let me reread this portion again. It looked like I had an eye patch. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what the hell. I don't know. I know that when I tried to make these reports like really big, it freaks out my browser and it goes black, and then I start having freezing issues. That's funny. Always an adventure, you know. Okay, I think we're good now. All right. Draft page 121, final page 23. I'm going to go ahead and reread this. 10:45:51 a.m. call has different numbers assigned for tower. 10:56:57 a.m. tower transaction is not in the final draft, but a 10:56:48 transaction is added to the final report. This gives appearance that device had moved east instead of originally south. Now, this is where I'm saying that I feel like I'm a little confused. Maybe I don't think they've ever lived in Texas, but I mean, I guess you could just randomly have a San Antonio area code if you just want to have a San Antonio area code. I mean, I kept my old like Dallas-Fort Worth area code because there was no reason for me to change it, so I don't match where I live. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think they've ever lived in Texas. I mean, I don't know their family history. I don't freaking know. It very well could be. But we were just under the understanding that he talked to his parents a bunch that morning, but that doesn't mean that that's the only person that he was talking to. It definitely doesn't mean that. 11:16 a.m. transaction is different eNode B number than draft. Oh, like what I meant by like the South thing, it's interesting because everything that Cyray is claiming is that he is showing a more northern direction. He claims he can, which I don't know how, because honestly, the wording that he's using is very much like the same stupid shit the state has used. We're like, we can't prove it's this way, so it's got to be that way, even though we can't prove that either. That kind of shit is basically the way he put it. But he's claiming both the direction gone to Moscow and the direction back to Pullman are both more north than what law enforcement is claiming. And to go to Moscow, he's claiming he went north, not some road under 270, but that he can track him going north of 270. So it's interesting that Tom's shows south, because Cyray's is all about north. That's like the only thing I've seen different so far. Unless I'm interpreting that part wrong. I'm pretty sure that that's like the only difference so far. Okay. So this is page 121 that he's talking about. And what is it up here? Okay. Okay. So right here in Blaine, Well, no, I don't think he's right here. Okay, so he's basically saying that there's a tower being added right here for the Blaine area because it's labeled now. God. Because it's being labeled. And so he's saying that there wasn't one in the Blaine area for the draft, but there sort of is. Because a tower, according to this legend right here, is the little dot. And in the Blaine area, there is a little dot. So the range, like the sonar little range thingy, the triangle, the radar looking thing, is supposed to be like the area in which Kohberger could have been in because of him utilizing that phone, utilizing that tower, because it's supposed to be able to tell which direction from the tower the signal from the phone's coming from, like the way that it's bouncing back and forth. So I think what he's meaning to say is that it's not technically like a tower being added. It's more like the direction for the tower in Blaine was added and wasn't on the draft report. So when the draft was sent in, there's no noted spots. There's no directionality technically for Blaine, but there is directionality for Blaine in the final. So technically not new tower because the tower is definitely listed there already. What do you say the other problem was? 11/2/16 a.m. transaction is different on eNode B number than the draft. 11/2/16. Let's see what that is. So I think he means 11/22/16. So this is November 13th, 2022, 11/22/16 a.m. data 70. And it shows down here in the Lewiston-Clarkston area. And down here, it shows 11/22/16 a.m. data 320. So I don't know what the data means. Is that like the amount of actual data that was used for that transaction? Like the megabytes amount of internet that was used in the transaction? So up here, it says there was just 70 data on the draft. But then down here, it shows it's 320 data. So there's a difference. What was the other one? There was a third one. The first one. At 10:45:41, the call has a different number assigned for the tower. Oh, for the call at 10:45, there is a different number assigned for the tower. So what's 10:45? So 10:45 and 51. Why do you hate me so much? My God. Okay. At 10:45:51, it says ECI 1085:44:98:4, and down here for the call, he has it not instead of ECI, it's eNode B, which is the same discrepancy as before on another slide. Okay, draft page 122 shows a different number than eNode on final page 24. So right here, it says draft, but you can still read it. I can't read the second one, but it ends in 0522-23 for eNode for this Lewiston Hill Overlook one. I'm not even getting it. See, look, it goes all the way down the whole freaking document. What in the frick? Oh my God. Oh my God. Why? Why? Why do you keep doing this? Why? Stop it. Just let me highlight. Oh my God. Okay. I hate that. Whatever. It's talking about right here. What? Blue isn't going to work. That's not going to work either. Why'd you do this to me? I don't even know what color I can use. It's going to show up right here. Freaking red, I guess. Thick red, I guess. I don't freaking know. But we're looking right here. Oh my God, is it freezing again? This is getting annoying. This is getting annoying. Let me try to refresh this now. Does it load up to the right page? Okay. Stop messing with me. Just because I'm going over this, leave me the frick alone. What color am I going to pick? It's not going to work. I guess hot pink. I mean, I don't know what else to do. Okay. So right here, this says enode something something 0522-23. And down here, it shows, well, it's the same thing. Hold on. Okay. So again, with the difference between this ECI and then down here, it actually having the enode B indicator. Okay. Then it says final draft page 123, November 13th. I need my highlighter. November 13th, 2022, from 2:19 p.m. to 4:03 p.m. is deleted from the final draft report. Final pages 25 through 30 added to the final report. Page 25, deceiving and misleading to a court as if it infers that the 8458 device was actually at the incident location when there is no substantiated accurate data to support this chart. Even Cyrake says that. Regardless of everything else, he admits that too. Page 26. Mogen device estimated location using FBI drive-by data. Kernodle device estimated location using FBI drive-by data. Page 28, misleading diagram. Pages 29 through 30, grossly misleading data with no tower designation or location of the first and last crime scene tower. The name crime scene tower is ambiguous. As has been shown, the towers that cover the incident location also cover a great deal of other locations and terrain. This is important right here. The statement by Cast, tower providing coverage to within 100 meters, is a very general and misleading phrase. We've already known for months and months now that that is inaccurate. It is not what the map shows. That was something that came out, I think, was it before? I think it was before the plea, because there was already a report from Nick Valance that did come out before the plea ended up happening that we went over. I feel like in part of those motions in limine that were going on and all the self-authenticating records, there was some information that came out. One needs to ask, to what other locations do these towers provide coverage, such as other homes, businesses, schools, etc., within 100 meters? The question is many, but 100 meters is not very far. It's really not all that far. I mean, 300 feet at the least, but then you have to count the fact that a meter is 3.3 feet and do all the math for all the threes and the how many and all the things, but it's still over 300 feet. That's still, I mean, it could be a lot of places if you consider how close all the little areas are, but they still are not telling us in anything that these guys have written. And even with Cyrake doing all the arguing that he's doing, he is still sticking to the fact that he can't put Kohberger in that location, that he can't put Kohberger in that actual area. He can't look at the house, stalk the house, and do all these things if he's not physically in that neighborhood, if he's not physically on the street over, if he's not on the other side of the block. Like, he has to be close enough to be able to actually see stuff. And they know he can't. They can't prove that. They know that he wasn't. And that's why even with Cyrake still saying what he's saying, he is still maintaining that there was no stalking behavior. So if you can come out here and say, oh, well, it looks like he passed this tower, but it was for, hour, 2 hours, but there's no stalking behavior, that doesn't put him at the crime scene. It doesn't put him in that area. It doesn't put him in that neighborhood. And then there's even shorter ones where it's like he's driving by, maybe was stopped at I don't mean like driving by the house. I mean like driving by wherever it would be pinging off of, because there's a light or whatever. He sits there for 27 seconds or some shit like that. That's what's in Cyrake's report. Very much more specific data-wise for Kohberger's information, really, than this one. This one's more about the problems with the draft and the final, it seems. This analyst questions why so many supposedly important maps were left out of the final cast report, nearly 100 pages. And why was the draft report so long to get completed July 10th, 2023, when the data used for the maps was acquired by Agent Balance in late 2022? Also, this analyst questions why, in one instance, a tower was substituted for another tower and shown in a different location. So that is a problem, because if you're mixing up the names of the towers, that means that when that tower information is being implemented, it's technically being implemented into a location that it's not supposed to be. So they didn't catch that? They didn't have anybody else go in there and check it? Or did they? Which is actually the issue, isn't it? Because there was another FBI agent that looked at Balance's stuff the same way that Cy Ray looked at Tom Slavinsky's stuff. Except the FBI guy who peer-reviewed Balance's stuff didn't correct anything, didn't notice any problems. So is it really peer reviewing, or is it just a sign off at the bottom like the MPD reports? And nobody actually checks shit. I'm pretty sure you know which one I think it probably is. But I'll start the sentence over. Also, this analyst questions why, in one instance, a tower was substituted for another tower and shown in a different location, which would assist in the prosecution's theory of the direction of travel for the 8458 device. And then it says to see the cast draft and the final as the exhibits. Exhaustive FBI cast final report analysis. An exhaustive analysis was performed on the final FBI cast report dated July 8th, 2024. In this report, this analyst notes how the cast member has made the report in a very general and yet confusing manner, like everything else in this case. Also of note is how cast does not properly provide and illustrate the many handoffs the 8458 device did with the area towers. This left out key evidence. Also, the use of shaded areas and pie-type diagrams provide the less knowledgeable listener with confusion. It is then the cast member who can lead the juror and court to the explanation the cast member himself wishes to give to enhance the story the prosecution wants the court to accept. So I guess it gives a broader range of area in which the person can be placed in, using it that way. This cast report is prejudicial and slated to follow a theory of guilt and not the actual data. Data doesn't lie, and what has been left out of this report is just as important as the data that was noted. This report is not truly factual, with numerous data points left out that could assist the defendant's case and team. And I guess there's an entire presentation of it being reviewed that is another attachment somewhere. So I guess this right here is his, is this his? Mobile number 8458, Kohberger's phone. Actual path of travel, November 12th, 2022 through November 14th, 2022. Now remember, in the PCA, as irrelevant as it is, it does say that there is a ping of Kohberger's phone being in Moscow on November 14th, but that they consider it a false ping, that they don't have any correlating proof that he was there on the 14th. Well, you don't have any other correlating proof for a lot of other shit either. So go off, but okay. In the enclosed exhibit, court video 1112 through 1114, this analyst mapped the CDR data for this device. So this video right here, I wonder if we could maybe FOIA it from the court. Probably not, but it'd be nice to try, because this is him mapping his data he claims he has, which I would assume is pretty close to what Cy Ray is claiming that he has. What is of particular importance is the time period surrounding a transaction on 11/13/22 at 2:47 a.m. between the towers and the device. More than one tower was utilized by the Kohberger device on that transaction. So at 2:47 a.m., his phone is bouncing off of two towers? More than one tower for one event? Am I reading that correctly? Seconds of connection. Oh, well then, I mean, it matters just as much, if not more. for for power. Oh my God, I can't even freaking talk. For the actual time frame to know about how long he was doing something on the phone. Yeah, it's definitely normal. It's definitely normal to do a draft and then have a final in almost everything. I mean, when I do a video, the very first thing that I record is technically a draft. And then there's several different drafts in between the final because you got to do 1,000 things, you know. The problem is that so much of it was removed from the draft. And normally when you go from a draft to a final, you don't lose so much. If anything, when you're going through your drafts and you're trying to edit and you're trying to get to the polished version, normally as you're going back through your old versions, you're being reminded of even additional information that you want to then add. It's sort of rare, in my opinion, that things get removed, much less removed that much. I mean, 120 something down to 30 something's crazy. And it's supposed to be trusted FBI data. That's what's even worse. That's what's even worse. But I'm curious as to if that's what this means. If this means that for the one event, there was more than one tower that it was pinging off of or working off of. I didn't know that it could do that. That's what it sounds like. I don't know. Law enforcement is alluding to this tower device transaction as being the last one performed by the device before the device goes silent. The prosecution alludes to a theory that the device continued on Highway 270 to Moscow and ultimately to the incident location on King Road in Moscow, Idaho. The data says otherwise. Law enforcement has left out numerous handoffs that the 8458 device performed with other towers in Pullman, Washington, the area of Pullman, Washington, on the 2:47 a.m. transaction. The following line 125 is from the actual AT&T CDRs furnished to the defense by the prosecution. Look at this shit. I don't know how to read this. I don't know how to read this. This says 1047. So this is off because it was given in UTC time, I think they said. So this is supposed to say 247, line 125, 1113. I don't know what all these different things mean. Enhanced phone. What does that mean? And then all these different codes. Here's where it shows Samsung SMS908U, which is the phone he had. This is probably... Okay, so this is the ECI and the E node number. I recognize that. This is the latitude and longitude. These are all the latitude and longitudes, it looks like. Oh my God, there's a lot. I guess that's what this is. So you'd have to go in there and put every single one of those in. And I guess it's supposed to show you a tiny map because it would only be from 2:47 and 29 seconds to, oh, well, no, hold on. This one says 12:48:40 on 11:13:22. See, that's where it gets a little confusing now because it says 10:47, but we know it's supposed to be 2:47. So if this says 12:48, then what is that supposed to be? 4:48 then? So would this track from there to there when this, like, because this is the off and on, right? What they're trying to claim is the off and on. These two times. Right here. I guess we can try, huh? Let's see what the Google map says. If we try to type in those coordinates. Let's see. I gotta put it off to the side so that I can type it in real quick. Let's see. So let's do negative 117.15585. Oh, no. I'm typing something wrong. Yep, still typing something wrong. I'll have to try to do it separately so that it's easier to go back and forth. But that's got to be what this is. It has to be longitude and latitude because that's like the whole point of the data. And what is he saying this says? Okay, it just says the following line 125 is from the actual AT&T CDRs furnished to the defense by the prosecution. The following are actual map recordings of the transactions between mobile number 8458 and the area towers on November 13th, 2022 from 2:47:29 hours through 2:50 hours. So the few minutes after they claim it was off the network. In all, 7 towers were utilized in this one continual transaction with time on towers as follows. 2:47:29, 18 seconds, 2:47:47, 31 seconds, 2:48:18, 88 seconds, 2:49:46, 21 seconds, 2:50:07, 12 seconds, 2:50:19, 3 seconds, 2:50:22, 263 seconds. Note, the last tower utilized by the device is the tower most used by the device. Note the estimated location of the device at this time. So I'm assuming it's this right here at his house, close to his house. So here's his residence. And here, I mean, the dot is right here, but it's a pin. And so the pin is technically down here. So let me fix it. Odd little thing to use. It's definitely bigger than it needs to be for what you're trying to show here. So I can make it bigger. Yeah, right here. So it says at 2:50 and 22 seconds, that was the last tower that was utilized by the phone. And it's this one right here, which is the one that he uses the most. Oh, no, they're all there. Okay, hold on. Here we have all of the marks. Okay, yeah. Oh, this is neat. So this is these are the latitude and longitude marks. I'm going to try to take these and put it in like a slide where I can literally just like let it play and it'll like show maybe like the little path. Okay. So this is 2:47 and 29 seconds. Let me get rid of this stuff right here. So at 2:47 and 29 seconds, Kohberger's house is right here. And the bottom of the little stick for this little thing is right here on the map. That's 2:47 and 29. So then we go down here. And this one is 2:47 and 47. Kohberger's house is here, and the dot is now here. So it's moved up from below his apartment to now north of his apartment. Okay. So then we have, oh, and it goes back down south again. So at 2:48 now and 18, his house is here, and now the tower is down here that he's utilizing. So it's gone up and down, or shall I say it was down, up, down now. Oh, now look at back. Back up again. 2:49 and 46. His house is here. It's pinging here. Up and down, up and down. And here we go down again. Here's the house. house at 2:50:07, and he's now down here again. Back and forth. Boo boo. What the hell's going on? Okay. So then, what time is this? Oh, hell nah. Bro, this is dumb. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. 2:50 and 7 seconds. 2 a.m., 2:50 a.m. and 7 seconds. He is right here between, according to his phone, between his apartment and Highway 270. The next timestamp is 2 seconds later, 12 seconds later, at 2:50 and 19 seconds, and it's all the way down here by Johnson. Look how far down it went in 2 seconds. Here's his house. Here's where it like just was. And 2 seconds later, it drops him all the way down here. Isn't that insane? Let me make that a little bit smaller so you can see that. Leadfoot, shut up. Yeah, look at this. 2:50:07 all the way up here. Look, the place where it ends up is not even on this map right here. It goes in 2 seconds. Oh my God. What is that distance? This proves right here, because look at the incident location. This proves right here that he could literally have even been at his own apartment and still pinged down here in that little freaking U shape they're trying to say that he took to get back up. That's crazy as hell. Let's see where it goes now. Right back up. At 2, wow, literally like 3 seconds. So this one right here is 2:50 and 19. And when it's popping back up by his house, above now his house, it's 3 seconds later. 3 seconds later at 22. Wow. Oh, wow. At 2:50 and 19 hours, tower 1086172334242286 is utilized by the 8458 device. 3 seconds later, the same device is handed off to a different tower, which is now the 108545551424006. Note the overlap on the next image. It is the opinion of this analyst that this device was likely in the approximate highlighted area when the handoff occurred. Only 3 seconds commenced before the device went to the last tower. The device then utilized this last tower for 263 seconds, according to AT&T. The drive test data compiled by Cyray can show additional information. Yeah, so right here is where it overlaps. The two towers overlap each other, which is the same location pretty much where that one underneath his house keeps popping up. Because here's his house right here. No, they got a pin right here, but this is like right around like here-ish is where that one right underneath his apartment keeps popping up. So he would hit a tower here, he would hit a tower here, and he was hitting a tower all the way down here, all within a few minutes of time. That's insane. That's insane. Okay, traffic on 7 towers from 11:13:22 to 47:29. Okay, this is the same time frame. So right here is where the majority of his movements were. And then we have the one random push down south. Cumulative activity of device 8458 on November 13th, 2022 from beginning of transaction on 2:47, 29 hours through 2:50:22 till the end of the transaction. As can be seen in the actual AT&T CDR data above, these handoffs show a different story. The data shows the 8458 device west of Moscow, Idaho, when the transaction is completed at approximately 2:54 a.m. In all, 6 handoffs follow the initial 2:47 a.m. transaction. This vital handoff data is very important and had to have been known by law enforcement, yet it is never presented. And this says to see BK 2:47 a.m. Towers MP4 for detail. The device turns back on at 4:48 a.m. and is utilizing a tower below Moscow, Idaho, which technically where he just was, or like where it was showing beforehand, that one way down south, you can slow down. You can consider that also south of Moscow. It's literally in that U in those horrible maps that were placed in the PCA. I am glad that eventually we did get more clear ones, but they were still so difficult to even try to track what they were trying to tell you, honestly. The device turns back on at 4:48 a.m. and is utilizing a tower below Moscow, Idaho, with the signal utilizing a south-facing sector of the tower. The device then proceeds to utilize towers to the southwest and then the north, ultimately landing in the Pullman, Washington area. So southwest, not southeast, and then north, which is coming back to Pullman. And see, the defense has never once tried to argue that it's him coming back up. The car looks like it's his car, and we know that he was driving around. It's the car leaving Pullman that has all the problems. And then it shows that this is the exhibit right here. Google Geofence. A Google Geofence search warrant was submitted by MPD Detective Mowry on 11/18/22. Yet on 11/20/22, SA Balance from the FBI gets a return from Google in response to a warrant submitted to Google dated November 18th, 2022. Why did the return go to Balance and not Mowry? Well, because if you open up the damn search warrants, and I'm glad this is being brought up in here, because it's definitely something that we were questioning when we were going through the original search warrants. They're in the area where it would say like where to respond with the information. Detective Mowry would usually put to send it to this FBI email address. And in a lot of their reports, like their follow-up reports with information, they would mention how they're the ones that sent off the search warrant, but then a federal agent got the information, looked at the information, then they powwowed, had a little convo about what they needed to do, and then the information was sent over to MPD. So MPD would file the search warrant. The return of search warrant would go back to the FBI officer. The FBI officer would then review the information and then give it to the Moscow Police Department. That's how that shit was going down. It's in several of the search warrants. It's insane. Then on 12/1/22, Detective Mowry swears that he got a return on a search warrant. Yet in all of the documentation from Google, it appears Google only returned data to Special Agent Balance, because that's how Mowry wrote them. That is how Mowry wrote them. I don't know why. I think Brett Payne might have even done it too on some of the AT&T stuff. It tells you and has told us from the very beginning that the Moscow Police Department didn't have any authority in any of this. And again, this stuff was happening like days in. When the original search warrants for the victims' phones, before there was ever even a thought of IGG, Lawrence Mowry was writing this stuff on the search warrants for the FBI to get the return. So he would have no idea, honestly, if whatever the special agent sent to him had been altered or not, because he's not getting the original return information. The feds are. So all kinds of stuff could have been removed, added, all kinds of shit before it got sent over to the Moscow Police Department, and they would have been none the wiser. They wouldn't have known. because the FBI was getting all of the returns. From the jump, the FBI was doing, honestly, just some really crazy shit. Really deceptive shit. And the MPD people were just going along with it because the FBI is the FBI. They figure they know what they're doing. So Moscow was just a bunch of puppets. On November 20th, 2022, Special Agent Balance copied Detective Mowry in an email to Google asking for stage 3 results. That would be when blank asks Google, now, who are these identifiers? Paraphrased. Balance and not Mowry is communicating with Google. Is this supposed to say now? Balance and now Mowry are communicating with Google. Is that what he's supposed to mean? Ew. Yeah, see here. FBI. So this is when, what date is this? November 20th, 2022, 10:18:50 p.m., working late. U.S. law enforcement at google.com, Lawrence Mowry, Google reference number 2696046. This request is the stage 3 search warrant that is associated with the original Google reference number. This request is part of the investigation into the quadruple homicide that occurred on November 13th, 2022 in Moscow, Idaho. Any priority that could be placed on this matter would be greatly appreciated. Please contact me with any questions or issues on this matter. Respectfully, blank, Special Agent, blah, 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 blah. What time is this again? 10:18. Are they giving it to us backwards again? Yeah, because right here it says 10:14 p.m. So this is a few minutes before that. Google receives a very high volume of legal processes every day. The team processes legal requests in the order that we receive them. You may monitor the status of your request by logging into your LERS account. If your request relates to extingent circumstances, or if you have any further questions, please email this email, which is what they ended up doing in the other email. That's what he was doing. That's what he was doing. And include the Google reference number listed in the subject line. So because they felt like it was extingent circumstances and they needed it rushed, he then took the U.S. law enforcement at google.com email and sent this stage 3 search warrant request, which obviously means this is an emergency type deal. Because originally it was just LERS at google.com. So he sent it off to another department. Why is it a whole separate department, though? I feel like that's a separate department. That's wild. Okay. Actual email from Mowry. And then it says on 12/4/22, Mowry says, paraphrasing, on 11/20/22, Balance asked Google for 2 identifiers information as to their phone numbers. Balance only identifies one of the 2. What was the other one? Oh, this is interesting. Okay. On November 20th, 2022, Special Agent Balance received notice the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. The data files were downloaded to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. Based on the information received and in correlation with cell tower records, I'll make this bigger. I know it's probably small over there. Previously reviewed, 2 of the anonymous identifiers, these were just the things that, okay, I'm pretty positive that this is the 2. Okay, so remember when the geofence warrant happened and that's where they found out about Molly, but there was also 2 other identifiers in there and they didn't know what they were. I believe it was Sam on Custody Queens that asked Cyree about these. And he said that they'd never found out who these 2 were and that he didn't even know if they would be able to tell ever if it was a cell phone, if it was a vehicle, or if it was something like your Samsung washing machine or your smart refrigerator, because they give off similar signals, similar type whatevers. So this is interesting that this is in here. I forgot that he would probably have some of this information. It would be really interesting if they could figure out what those 2 devices were. Especially since, again, they didn't know shit about Molly until they did that geofence. But these are the identifiers right here. Like this is its code. This is literally its entire identity. These two things right here. It's basically like our DNA construct. Isn't it crazy? On November 20th, 2022, I applied and was granted a warrant for any data associated with the previous identifiers, including subscriber information. Special Agent Balance with the Federal Bureau of Investigations assisted in the production and service of the warrant. On November 20th, 2022, at approximately 22:14 hours, the warrant was served email at lers@google.com. On November 20th, 2022, SA Balance received notice the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. The data files were downloaded to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. It was found one of the identifiers came back to the phone number of 2567. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to Google, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. And this is Maori. Does anybody know off the top of your head who 2567 is? Because if this was the one of the two, if this was one of the two that came after they had Molly's information, is this that other? This is the other number I think we already had like 4 digits for, but we weren't sure who it was. Anybody ever figure out who this number was? Anybody know if anybody ever figured this out? Oh, of course, Lucy knows. Ah! Wasn't that interesting? Not interesting. A relative of that person was attending UI at the time. That's still interesting. Okay. Okay. So then there's technically one. There's not two, there's one. That seems to be unidentified. Okay. Maori report dated December 5th, 2022. Here's the problem. The Google geofence they asked for covered 11/13/22 from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. And this is what it looks like. Holy shitamazolis. So how are you supposed to tell what these are? How are you supposed to tell what these are? Because these are not like 4-digit numbers. Some of these are 2 digits. Some of these are 3 digits. This is literally where the house was. So just circling the parking lot of the house, you've got all of these right here. I guess let's see if he tells us. I don't know what these are. Because it's, like I said, it's not like the last 4 of a phone number. There's quite a few just right here. So from 1 to 6 a.m., this is everybody. So many people, though. Maori does not say what procedures they took to get to only 2 identifiers, other than only that based on the information received and in correlation with cell tower records previously reviewed, 2 of the anonymous identifiers were found to be of interest. No information was given on the other identifier requested. Maori only mentions 2567. This analyst used a number reversal feature offered by Trax. The result was a name this analyst was not familiar with. Please note that this number was run in 2024 by this analyst, and the owner of said number could have changed since 2022. I've heard it takes 6 months. That's the last I heard, last time I checked. When you release a number, when it can recycle back and somebody else could then have that number, I heard 6 months. It could be longer than that now, but that's just what I've always heard. But the question remains, who does the other identifier come back to? Also, Out of all of the hits above on Google Geofence, why are there no reports of interviews with others found on that map? That's a good question. It's a good question. Just Molly, right? Having past law enforcement experience, this analyst understands that departments tag team with each other, but for Mowry to assert himself into the same work as Balance is misleading. And then it says to see this exhibit. Author's expert opinion. This analyst has exhaustively examined the AT&T call detail records pertaining to mobile number 8458, as well as other cell tower data pertaining to the victims and other persons. The expert opinion of this analyst is as follows. There is no cell tower data presented by law enforcement to the defense that links the 8458 device to the King Road murders. In general, point blank. What this analyst has noted is a profound push by law enforcement to use these call detail records to paint a story that the data cannot support or prove. There is no cell tower or GPS data presented to support the claim that the 8458 device was at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, 2022 from approximately 3 to 4:30 a.m. What is disturbing is the lack of actual data that was not made discoverable by law enforcement. This data would be extremely helpful to the defense's case, which is pretty much the same as they are intentionally omitting exculpatory evidence, quote unquote, There have been numerous omissions by the FBI cast agent. This is disturbing. The data that was not shown is very exculpatory, and it appears that it was clearly and intentionally left out of the cast final report and other members of the law enforcement team. End of report. Yes. That's exactly what it seems like. And it's so insane because with all of the air in the PCA, irrelevant. Look how much information in that literally is not true. Go out to the PCA and literally remove anything that we've already proven to not be true. You won't have shit. You'll really have a lot of nothing. People's own experience as a law enforcement officer, because you don't know if they're lying about their training or not unless you go and get their actual training report. So until you do that, you can't prove that any of that's wrong. Inflated information that got nowhere, that was all lies and bullshit. Same thing that goes with this report. That it's all inflated information that was all lies and bullshit. Stuff that they can't prove. Stuff that ended up having to be erased, deemed irrelevant, deemed no longer available to be given to the court, cannot use it as evidence anymore. Everything has seemed to have followed that. Yeah, but like in every department of this case, in every single part of this case. Like, I don't know how much more serious it has to get before something changes. I don't know. It is really wild to me. Everything that we keep reading. No, I just moved my desk back to where it was like a long time ago. I had it here for a while before I painted it, and basically like basically it said like if I had decided to buy it, you guys would know that I decided that when it was offered to me if I painted the wall. And so once I painted the wall, like that was basically like the clue or whatever. And then I moved because I felt like I wanted more space like behind me. But I really feel like I need more of a solid background because I put a lot of stuff on the screen. My logos are pretty, like all mixed up and stuff like that. I just felt like a solid background would be better. So I stayed up and just moved it around yesterday. But I gotta put some more like fake roses this way so that it matches. And then there's a LED light of the monkeys that match the one that Sheila made me with my little plushie chick that I'm gonna put. So now I can actually get a smaller one because I was gonna, guys. I'm glad I moved my damn desk. Okay. I was gonna spend some ridiculous money on like a freaking maybe like a 6-7 foot LED light. Of the monkeys. I wasn't even kidding. I was going to figure it the frick out so that it could fit behind me on my wall, because the wall where like the portrait of the Link character is, that goes all the way to the door that y'all sort of see mostly in the background, is like pretty big. And I wanted it to be noticeable. So I was just going to buy this ginormous ass LED monkey light. But now that I only have to right here, it can only be like a foot long, and I don't have to spend hardly no money. So that's good. I didn't even think about that till now. No, I don't read electric books. That makes any sense. That's why, like, when we get books here for this case, I never purchase like the Audible version or like the Kindle version or like whatever it is where you can just like have it online as a whatever. I always get the book. I do too much on the computer. I like my paper books. So there's that. Yeah, girl, you are, because I'm literally getting off of here. We're done. We are donesies for the night. But yeah, this was the very first cell analyst that the defense team brought in. Oh, I didn't even see this. Thank you so much for the gifted membership, Death Child. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Congratulations to the person who got that. Don't forget, our members only live is this Monday. The way that I'm planning on doing it is we'll do the members only live at around like 3:45-ish. And then we'll come back at around like 8:15, 7:45, 8:15 to do our normally scheduled now Moscow Monday that we do. That's what we'll do. I would love it. I really want to hear from this guy. I really want to know his opinion on what Cyree had to say about what happened with the case, what additional information he's allowed to say. I mean, if everyone else could come out and talk, I'd love to know what his opinion is, especially, I mean, and maybe he's professional enough to where he won't give an opinion about a lot of the stuff that Cyree said, but I'd still like to see what his opinion is on the case in general with all of these additional data points that he also mapped the same way that Cyree said he did. I just want to see if their opinion is the same. I just want to know if their opinion is the same. That's all. Okay, guys. Probably freaking so. Probably so. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. I'll be live tomorrow sometime after the mowing guy is out of here and done and gone so that we can go over that Yessie interview. It's gotten a lot of comments. I'm getting a lot of comments about it. I'm getting emails about it. Apparently, some pretty interesting things are said pertaining to old Dylan over there. So that'll be interesting. Can't wait. You guys have a super, super great night. Thank you again for coming in here and going over this original cell analysis report with me. I appreciate you guys so much. Have a super, super great night. I will see you guys tomorrow. See y'all.